I heard something in the house that night, a door slamming. Twice. Mark Walker woke up in the darkness of his Knoxville home, listening. Something wasn't right. He got out of bed and walked through the quiet hallway, checking on his children. His son, Evan, was asleep. His daughter, Emma, was in her room. Everything looked normal. He went back to bed. 12 hours later, his daughter was dead.
Where is your emergency?
I'm Jill Walker!
What's going on there?
I'm just trying to wake up my daughter for school, and she has no pulse.
How old is she?
She's 16.
You said that she's non-responsive?
Yeah.
November 20th, 2016. Emma Walker's last day started with her parents driving her to work at a restaurant in Knoxville, Tennessee. Mark and Jill Walker weren't taking any chances anymore. They waited until Emma finished her shift that evening, then drove her home. For the first time in 2 years, they felt like they were finally getting their daughter back. Emma Walker was 16 years old. She dreamed of becoming a neonatal nurse, loved animals, and had an infectious smile that everyone remembered. After 2 years in a relationship her parents called toxic, she'd finally broken free. She was eating dinner with her family again, laughing with them, being herself. That Sunday evening, Emma went upstairs to her room. She texted her friend Keegan about a school assignment. Around midnight, she went to bed. Her parents believed she was safe. 30 miles away in Maryville, someone was about to make a decision that would end her life before sunrise. 2 years earlier, in the autumn of 2014, Emma was a 14-year-old freshman at Central High School. She'd just made the varsity cheerleading team, the only freshman to do so. During a football game, she caught the attention of Riley Gall, a junior who played wide receiver. The attraction was immediate. Riley wasn't the typical jock. His friends described him as a little nerdy, a joker, active in his church. On paper, they seemed perfect, the cheerleader and the wide receiver. But Riley was already dating someone when he met Emma. He broke up with her almost immediately. What seemed romantic at the time was the first hint of something else, an impulsiveness, an intensity that didn't match the situation. Emma and Riley became the quintessential high school couple, flooding social media with photos. Emma's parents initially welcomed Riley. He seemed like the boy next door, polite and well-mannered. But their feelings changed when they learned Riley planned to take his ex-girlfriend to junior prom, then Emma to senior prom the following year. It was small, but it revealed something about his priorities. Their daughter wasn't his first choice. As time went on, Emma's friends noticed Riley didn't want to get to know them. He didn't want Emma spending time with anyone but him. If she went out with friends, he'd text constantly. Emma always brushed off their concerns, insisting Riley was just protective. Her parents took away her phone, hoping to break the constant contact. Riley gave Emma an iPod Touch so she could text him through Wi-Fi without her parents knowing. It wasn't sweet, it was calculated. The relationship became a cycle. Riley would send cruel messages. "You're dead to me. I'll check the obituary." Then minutes later, the apology would come. "I'm sorry for however I act. I love you more than words can describe." Cruelty and affection in rapid succession, keeping Emma off balance. The breakups became regular, each more dramatic than the last. He'd bombard her with messages and calls. He'd wait outside her workplace for hours, making sure she knew he was watching. Mark and Jill tried everything to help their daughter see what was happening. But the more they pushed, the more Emma defended Riley. The isolation was complete. By autumn 2016, Riley had graduated and moved to Maryville College. Emma's parents made a desperate decision. They grounded her, monitoring everywhere she went, and surprisingly, it worked. Emma started coming back to herself. Around Halloween, she saw pictures of Riley with other girls at college. She texted her friend Keegan, "We're done for good." Her friends breathed a sigh of relief. Emma's parents watched their daughter return to them. She was like her old self again. They didn't know they only had a few weeks left with her. They didn't know Riley had no intention of letting her go. Riley didn't accept the breakup. 2 weeks before Emma's death, something happened that should have been a warning to everyone around him. Riley attempted suicide on the Maryville College campus. His friends found him and took him to the hospital. He returned to campus a few days later, reportedly in counseling. His grandfather, James Gall, was deeply worried about his mental health. Everyone who cared about Riley was watching him carefully after that, but they were watching for the wrong thing. They were afraid he might hurt himself. No one imagined he would hurt Emma. Friday night, November 18th. Emma was at a friend's house when her phone started buzzing with messages from an unknown number. "Come outside alone if you don't want to see a loved one get hurt," the first text read. "Go to your car with your keys. If you don't comply, I will hurt them." Emma thought it might be one of Riley's friends playing a prank. She threatened to call the police. The messages kept coming. Then came the one that made her run outside. Riley had been dropped somewhere near the house. Emma and her friend, Zach, found Riley lying face down in a ditch, holding his head, seeming confused. "I've been kidnapped," he told them. "I don't know how I got here." Emma was crying, but not out of sympathy. She told him they were broken up and he needed to leave her alone. Riley walked off down the dark street by himself. He called his friend Noah later that night with the same kidnapping story. Noah didn't believe him. Emma stayed at her friend's house that night. She was too shaken to go home. The next morning, Saturday, Emma drove home with her friend Haley. As they turned onto Emma's street, they spotted a man dressed entirely in black walking through the neighborhood. Emma dropped Haley off and headed home. She went inside to get ready, waiting for her mother to return from errands. Then the doorbell rang. Someone started banging on the door. Emma was alone and terrified. She texted her friends frantically. Then she did something that shows how deep Riley's hold on her still was. She texted him, "I hate you, but I need you right now." His response came immediately. "I'm coming. I'm speeding. Just give me a minute." By the time Riley arrived, the man in black had vanished. Emma's friend Haley knew the truth. She'd seen Riley's car parked on Emma's street that morning. She'd even texted him asking what he was doing there. He denied it was him, but Haley had no doubt who the man in black really was. When Jill Walker came home and found Emma and Riley in the front yard, she told him to leave. She told Emma she knew Riley was behind everything, but Emma insisted he had nothing to do with it. Riley had created the threat, then positioned himself as the rescuer. Even after the breakup, Emma's instinct when she was frightened was still to reach for him. Sunday, November 20th. Mark and Jill drove Emma to work and waited until she finished. They drove her home that evening. After the weekend's events, they weren't taking any chances. That night, Emma texted her friend Keegan about a school assignment. Around midnight, she went to bed. Her parents believed she was finally safe. 30 miles away at Maryville College, Riley was falling apart. At 12:30 in the morning, he called his friend Noah Walton, asking how to remove fingerprints from a gun. Riley said he was asking for his roommate. Noah didn't think much of it. Shortly after midnight, Riley borrowed his roommate's phone and called Emma. The conversation was brief. Emma told him she had no interest in getting back together. The call ended. Then Riley started trying to reach her again. Over the next half hour, he called and texted her 64 different times through various methods. Emma didn't respond to any of it. At 12:29 in the morning, cell tower data would later show Riley's phone leaving Maryville, heading toward Knoxville. His phone didn't return to the Maryville area until 3:45. Between 2:30 and 3 in the morning, 2 shots were fired through Emma's bedroom wall from outside the house. Both bullets were aimed precisely at bed height. One struck Emma behind her left ear, the other lodged in her pillow. In his bedroom down the hall, Mark Walker woke to a sound, a door slamming, twice. He got up and checked the rooms. Everything looked normal. He went back to bed, not knowing that what he'd heard were the shots that had just killed his daughter. 6 o'clock, Monday morning, November 21st. Jill Walker walked into Emma's bedroom to wake her for school. It was usually easy to get Emma up, but this morning when Jill said her name, there was no response. She reached out and touched Emma's leg. Still nothing. Then Jill looked at her daughter's face and immediately knew something was terribly wrong. Emma was pale. Her lips had turned blue. Jill reached for a pulse, but couldn't find one. The 911 call came in moments later.
Where is your emergency?
I'm Jill Walker.
What's going on there?
I just tried to wake up my daughter for school, and she has no pulse.
How old is she?
She's 16.
You said that she's non-responsive?
Yeah.
When police arrived at the Walker home, the initial assumption was that this might be a medical emergency, possibly even a suicide. Then Deputy Nikki Buells noticed something on the wall of Emma's bedroom. A small hole, perfectly round. There was a hole in the wall, she would later say. It appeared to be a bullet hole. At that point, I knew that it probably was not a suicide. Officers searched the exterior of the house and found 2 shell casings lying in the grass outside Emma's bedroom window. Inside, they discovered a second bullet hole in the wall, also at approximately bed height. The trajectory was clear. Someone had stood outside in the darkness and fired 2 shots through the wall, both aimed precisely at where Emma would be sleeping. One bullet had struck her behind the left ear, killing her. The second had missed her by inches and lodged in her pillow. Whoever did this knew the layout of the room. They knew exactly where Emma's bed was positioned and where she would be lying. Detectives began interviewing Emma's family and friends, asking who might want to harm her. One name came up over and over again: Riley Gall. Emma's friends told detectives about the kidnapping hoax on Friday night, about Riley lying in that ditch, claiming he'd been abducted. They described the man in black terrorizing Emma on Saturday morning, how frightened she'd been. They talked about Riley's constant texts and calls, the way he wouldn't accept that the relationship was over, the possessiveness that had only gotten worse over time. Then Riley's own friends came forward, and what they told detectives was deeply disturbing. The day after the kidnapping incident, Riley had shown his friend Alex McCarty a gun. He said he'd taken it from his grandfather for protection because he was afraid for his life. Riley had asked his friend Noah Walton how to remove fingerprints from a gun, though he claimed he was asking for his roommate. Then, even before Emma's body was discovered, Riley had approached both Noah and Alex, asking if they would help him dispose of a gun in the Tennessee River. He was worried it might somehow implicate him in Emma's death. even though he insisted he had nothing to do with what happened. Detectives checked with Riley's grandfather, James Gall. He confirmed that his gun had gone missing. He'd reported it stolen on November 18th, the same day as Riley's kidnapping hoax. James had been worried that Riley might use the gun to harm himself, given his grandson's recent suicide attempt and fragile mental state. It hadn't occurred to him that Riley might use it to hurt someone else. Detectives brought Riley in for questioning. The interview revealed a young man who seemed strangely disconnected from what had happened. Riley was evasive and emotionless throughout. He kept referring to Emma as the girl, or the one that passed away, refusing to use her name. When detectives finally pressed him to confirm he knew her name, he said Emma as though the word itself was painful to speak. Detectives laid out the evidence in front of him. Cell phone tower data showed his phone leaving Maryville and traveling to Knoxville in the early morning hours when Emma was killed. He'd claimed he was in his dorm room the entire night, but the data proved otherwise. Multiple witnesses had seen him with his grandfather's gun. His friends had told them about his questions regarding fingerprints, his requests for help disposing of evidence. Riley denied all of it. He said his friends were lying, though he couldn't explain why they would. He claimed he didn't know where the gun was. When detectives pointed out that his friend Alex had no reason to fabricate a story about seeing him with a weapon, Riley had no answer. But the evidence wasn't quite enough yet.
I'm trying to help you, because if I can make solid your timeline and rule out the fact that Alex and Noah and all these guys are saying all this stuff, then the better off you're going to be.
I understand, but how would that rule out if I talked to him in person? That would show nothing on the
Right, but they're saying that there are text messages and phone calls to and from that's going to help establish your timeline.
text messages. What I can care less about you thinking I have a gun or anything, but I hope to God I'm not a suspect in her death. Is that so? I hope you don't think it, because I wouldn't hurt that girl for, I would hurt myself if I let her represent stuff.
The girl, she texted me,
Which girl?
the one that passed away,
Okay. What's her name?
Emma.
If they saw you with a gun, what would you think about that?
I would wonder who said that and where they saw me with the gun.
Alex McCarty said that you showed him a handgun. Where is the gun?
I do not know.
You understand, though, for us, Alex has no reason to lie about something like that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't know where it's at.
He said that you showed him the gun, you told him that you had it, and you told him that you got it from your granddad.
Don't have the gun. I don't know why he would say that.
Did you ever remember having a conversation with Noah about getting fingerprints off a gun? How do you get fingerprints off a gun?
Detectives had to let him go. Riley walked out of the police station and immediately sent a Snapchat message to Noah and Alex. The message was clear. Don't talk to the police, and delete everything he'd ever sent them. Noah Walton and Alex McCarty faced a decision. They were Riley's friends, but they knew what he'd done. They knew Emma was dead and that Riley was responsible. That night, they contacted detectives with a proposal. They would help catch Riley, but they needed to do it carefully. They agreed to wear hidden cameras and recording devices. The plan was simple. Get Riley to show them the gun and agree to dispose of it in the Tennessee River. Once he produced the murder weapon, police would move in and make the arrest. I wasn't fearful of my safety, Alex would later explain. I was just fearful that maybe justice couldn't have been done if we made the wrong move. Both young men understood how serious this was. They had to get it right. The body camera footage shows Riley meeting with Noah and Alex, discussing the gun in detail. He talked about how many bullets had been in the magazine when he first took it, his obsession with whether his fingerprints were on it, his belief that getting rid of the weapon would somehow make everything go away. I'm trusting you guys with my life, Riley told them. This is 7 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do. They drove together toward the Tennessee River. Riley had the gun hidden in his stepfather's car, stashed in a bag of trash. When they arrived at the riverbank, Riley pulled out the weapon, ready to throw it into the water. That's when police moved in.
With my life, because this is 70 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do. Man, are you busy right now? When you guys do anything? Because I need you to, but look, I'm going to throw it in the water. They'll never find it. We can go on that. The smaller ledge that really looks out of the water. You know what I'm talking about. Like I did. Yeah. And if I throw it with enough force, I know it's terrifying. I know this. You guys don't have to come with me if you don't want to. I mean, I'm not too mad at him. I just need to understand. If it's in the Tennessee River, they will never find it. I know that much. And how would I know it wasn't my grandfather's gun? His magazine had 5 shots in total when I first got it. Still has 5 shots in it. If I actually gave him that gun, that's like, yeah, maybe it's 50-50. It may give them reason to say, okay, the fingerprints on this gun and this bullet don't match, cool. But at the same time, they could have never had fingerprints in the first place and be like, oh, and this lawsuit is super common. This bullet.
Officers surrounded the vehicle, ordering Riley to keep his hands visible. 48 hours after Emma's body was discovered, Riley Gall was placed under arrest for her murder. In the trunk of the car, police found black clothing and black shoes, the same outfit the man in black had been wearing outside Emma's house that Saturday morning. The gun was the same one reported stolen by James Gall. Every piece of the puzzle was finally in place. Investigators also discovered that Riley had been using an app called Phoner on his phone, which allowed him to mask his real number when sending text messages. This was how he'd sent those anonymous threatening texts to Emma on the night of the kidnapping hoax, making it seem like they were coming from a stranger. But the most damning evidence came from the forensic analysis of the shooting itself. Both bullets had been fired at precise bed height, aimed exactly at the spot where Emma would be sleeping. The angle of trajectory, the placement of the shots, the distance from the window. Everything pointed to someone who knew the layout of that room intimately and knew exactly where to aim. This wasn't someone firing random warning shots into the air. This was deliberate. This was targeted. The trial of Riley Gall began on April 30th, 2018, a year and a half after Emma's death. Riley was 19 years old by then. He chose not to testify in his own defense, and his legal team called no witnesses to the stand. Their entire strategy rested on a single argument. Riley had fired those shots, yes, but he never intended to kill Emma. It was a tragic accident, born from a desperate, misguided plan. Defense attorney Wesley Stone laid out their position in his opening statement. Mr. Gall committed the offense of reckless endangerment with the hope of coming to her rescue, of being her hero, Stone told the jury. Riley's plan, according to the defense, was to scare Emma by shooting near her bedroom window. She would panic and reach out to him for help, just like she had when the man in black appeared at her door. Riley would come to her rescue, play the hero, and somehow win her back. Some of us who are familiar with handguns may very well know that by shooting into a wall blindly, it will go through a wall, Stone continued. Some of us may not. The defense asked the jury not to convict Riley of first-degree murder, which requires proof of intent to kill. Instead, they argued for reckless homicide, a far lesser charge that would carry a much shorter sentence. The prosecution had a different story to tell. Over the course of the trial, they methodically built their case around 5 key points. First, intent to kill. The precise placement of those shots showed that Riley knew exactly where Emma was sleeping and aimed accordingly. Second, motive. Riley was enraged by Emma's rejection and her refusal to return to the relationship he'd controlled for 2 years. Third, proximity. Cell phone data and physical evidence placed Riley at Emma's house at the exact time of the murder. Fourth, pattern of behavior. The kidnapping hoax, the man in black, the constant stalking, all of it showed escalating efforts to manipulate and control Emma. And fifth, trajectory. 2 shots, both fired at sleeping height, both aimed at where Emma's head would be. Assistant District Attorney Kevin Allen pointed directly at Riley during his closing argument. "Every person in here that she touched, their lives will never be the same again because of him," Allen said. And his selfishness, his lies, his possessiveness, his manipulation and his obsessiveness of Emma Walker. The prosecution also introduced evidence about Riley's familiarity with video games, particularly Call of Duty, which features a tactic called wall banging, shooting through walls to hit opponents on the other side. Riley knew that bullets could penetrate walls. The defense's claim that he might not have understood this didn't hold up under scrutiny.
Submit to you that after you've heard all the evidence, and as I told you in the very beginning of this trial, you will hear some bizarre, reckless conduct regarding my teenage client. That everything that they say about premeditation to kill Emma Walker is consistent with him trying to scare her. Because if you scare her, maybe she'll come have contact with you, and therefore you can try to rehabilitate your relationship. I'm not saying it's logical. Do not think that I submit to you that there's any logic in any of this, because it's not logical. None of it is. But it is consistent with the facts as we know them from the witnesses. It's consistent with the facts as we know them from the 18th. And it's consistent with how Emma reached out to him on the 19th. Asked him to rescue her.
On May 8th, 2018, after 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder, guilty of stalking, guilty of theft, guilty of reckless endangerment, guilty of tampering with evidence, guilty of possession of a firearm during a dangerous felony, guilty of felony murder. In Tennessee, a first-degree murder conviction carries an automatic life sentence. Riley Gall would serve a minimum of 51 years before he would even be eligible for parole. He would be in his 70s. During his sentencing hearing, Riley was given the opportunity to address the court and Emma's family.
Intentions were not, and never have been, to cause Emma any physical harm. At times, I was a terrible boyfriend. I caused her emotional and psychological pain during the 2 years that we were together. But I never once even imagined to cause her any physical harm. My intentions that night were never to harm Emma, let alone take her life. I wanted to scare her, to frighten her so bad that she would have no choice but to talk to me again, to confide in me. I would be there to comfort her and to win her back.
Even in his statement of remorse, the controlling mindset that had driven everything remained visible. Emma needed to comply. Fear was meant to bring her back to him. Even facing life in prison, Riley framed the tragedy around his own wants and his belief that Emma belonged to him. Riley Gall's legal battle didn't end with his conviction. In 2021, he filed a motion for a new trial, claiming there had been insufficient evidence to convict him. The motion was denied. In 2023, he appealed to the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals, which upheld his conviction. In 2024, he petitioned the Tennessee Supreme Court to review his case. They refused. As of now, Riley Gall is 25 years old. He's incarcerated at the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tiptonville, Tennessee. His legal options have been exhausted. He will serve a minimum of 51 years before he can even be considered for parole. In May of 2018, Emma Walker should have graduated from Central High School. Instead, her family accepted her diploma on her behalf. Her cap and gown were laid across an empty chair. The community refused to let Emma's story end with her death. The cheerleading squad and HOSA chapter established the Emma Walker Memorial Scholarship for students pursuing healthcare careers. Knox County dedicated a dog park in her name, celebrating her love for animals. East Tennessee Children's Hospital named a neonatal intensive care unit patient room after Emma, honoring the dream she never got to fulfill. The community also established Emma Walker Day as an annual remembrance. Emma's mother, Jill, has spoken about what she hopes people will take from her daughter's story. "I hope people remember Emma by channeling her energy and making sure they are always kind to others." Emma's story is a warning about patterns that too often go unrecognized until it's too late. The signs were there from the beginning: extreme possessiveness disguised as caring, gradual isolation from friends and family, the cycle of cruelty followed by apology. Riley created danger so he could rescue Emma from it, positioning himself as her protector while being the very threat she needed protection from. And when Emma finally said no, when she tried to reclaim her life, Riley refused to accept it. The boy next door isn't always who he seems. The perfect couple can hide a toxic reality. When someone shows you who they are through control, manipulation, and escalating violence, believe them.